So we started off from Amman. We were supposed to be a 3-member team as part of Medical Aid for Palestine, the emergency medical team. And the night before, you get final authorization who's actually allowed in. And one of my colleagues, James, who's a emergency department doctor, so he was denied access. So that was a disappointing start. We then travel as part of a UN WHO convoy to Allenby, which is on the Israeli side. You have your checks. My vascular surgeon colleague, he had all of his antibiotics confiscated, all medications, his vascular equipment, which was also confiscated. And then you travel as part of a UN WHO convoy. We were the only 2 medics on that. Others, they Save the Children, UN, WHO, there's other colleagues on that coach. And we traveled through Israel, got to Karam Shalom, and then as part of a UN convoy, we then enter Rafah. And that's when you first get the experience of Gaza. I was at Nasser hospital, and this is in Khan Yunis. I was there for a month. The first thing, the sense that you have is, we work in hospitals here, but it's completely different. There you will see, because in February 2024, the IDF or the Israeli forces had come in, there's incidents, they had killed people, they had taken medics prisoner as well for a period of time. And you see the bombing and the destruction around the hospital. You will see the ambulances which were bombed as well. You see bullets, all the bullet marks which have been left. But you also get a sense of the drones, which are 24/7. You'll see bombs going off every 15 to 20 minutes, including the night. And you get a sense of the psychological harm that this has caused over 20 plus months. So those are the first impressions of the surroundings of the hospital. The images that we've seen on national media or online social media, it's completely different when you're there, because you get a full sense. For me, it's very much apocalyptic. There's utter destruction. There is, for 1 hour driving through Rafah, you don't see a soul. You might see a stray cat, dog, and then you see tanks, but there's utter destruction. And then eventually you'll start seeing some people coming out, and the drive to the hospital, Nasser hospital, that's when you see the thousands of tents. You get a realization of there's no electricity there. You see the desperation in people's faces, the sadness, everyone being very thin, gaunt, though you start getting a sense of what actually is happening on the ground. So I'm a general colorectal surgeon as a consultant. Over there, yes, I was doing some cancer work, but the first 2 weeks predominantly was trauma work, you're dealing with patients with bomb blast injuries, which were injuries due to small bowel, large bowel, removing spleens because of bleeding, liver injuries, lacerations, removing someone's kidney because it's been shattered because of shrapnel, a 15-year-old kid who's had shrapnel through his back, going through his heart, and repairing a hole in his heart. So you're doing the full spectrum of trauma, which you will never see in the UK or even in any, like I've trained in Johannesburg as well, and you will not see this level of trauma anywhere in the world in such a short period of time. Every day you would be doing maybe 3-4 what we call laparotomies, big abdominal surgeries. This is in one theatre. The other theatres are full with all other specialities as well. 2 weeks in was the first mass casualty event which took place. Actually, that was the 1st of June. I believe that was a Sunday. And there was 2 mass casualty events. So for example, there was 200 people who came in. In addition, there was 30 dead on arrival. And that day was absolutely horrific. And that was linked to the food distribution centres. Later that evening, there's another mass casualty event where again hundreds come in, and that's to do with a bomb blast. And that carried on for the last 2 weeks which I was there. But it is intensely busy, everyone's working hard. The staff there are completely exhausted because they've suffered for 20 months and they've been displaced up to 15 times. They will operate and then they go and live in tents with no electricity, hardly any food. You know, there's no, as we said, there's no meat or fish or eggs, any type of protein, vegetables, nothing's coming in. So you're relying on non-carbohydrate diets. One which will clearly stay in my mind forever is a lady who is in the around 30, but she's 24 weeks pregnant. And she's been shot through the left gluteal the bullet goes through. She's lying in a tent, because you can think of the trajectory later on. But it goes through the gluteal, it goes through the rectum, it goes through the fetus, killing the fetus, who's 24 weeks of age, and then goes through small and large bowel and out through the abdomen. So when you open the abdomen, you see the feces, the contamination, you deal with that. And then you will see the fetus, which is destroyed, and the formed hand and foot sticking out of the uterus. So that's horrific. And for me, I'm numb. But what you realize is the surgeons from Gaza, the anaesthetists, the scrub staff, they just carry on. They've seen so much death and suffering, they've just become numb to it. And it's like, oh yeah, we've seen this before. So they will just carry on. And now this poor lady, she's lost her 24 weeks fetus, which is killed. She's had a hysterectomy, so she can never have kids again. Her pelvis is destroyed because of the injuries to her rectum and colon, so she's got a stoma. They don't have stoma bags, and she has to go to the ward, and they're going to make a stoma bag, which is to divert it out of plastic. And so it's just horrific. So those things will stay with me for life. So it's the life she's had before, where this is not, obviously this has gone on for decades, but now it's utter destruction, the physical, the mental, the whole psychological picture. You can only hope for the best. You will see children who've been shot in the head, who've been shot in the chest or the abdomen. They're dead on arrival, or they have such suffering, they've had their limbs blown off, and you see them die. They're then pronounced dead, and they are very rapidly taken to the morgue, which is like constant. So yes, there will be an impact, and that there's a reason now the clinical work is over, I'm back here, and there's a reason for me and a commitment to continue to speak out and try and help alleviate their suffering.